Afternoon. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to today's masterclass, all right, where we will be looking at how to develop a healthcare analytics platform as a project manager or as a business analyst to inform business decisions. All right, so just before we start this session, I want us to take a moment to invite people we think would benefit from this session in any way. All right, so invite your sister, invite your friend, invite your colleague, your best friend, your niece, your nephew, anybody you know who has been trying to get into project management or business analysis, especially in the healthcare sector, with or without a background in healthcare, right? And this person doesn't know where to start or what exactly it entails. So let's share the link to this session with them and have them join us on this call, all right? Because it's going to be an interactive session. So I'm going to introduce myself in a bit, but I want to get to know you first. So please put your name and where you're joining us from in the chats. I'll be watching. So let's just use this, 2 minutes to network. Please put your name and where you're joining us from in the chats. Okay. Lola, New York. Welcome, Lola. Anyone else? I need at least 4 more people before we can commence the session. Olanike, Canada. Welcome. We have Chinasa from the UK. Welcome, Chinasa. We have Juliet from Nigeria. Welcome, Juliet. Millicent from the UK. Fantastic. Okay, it looks like the UK people are winning tonight. All right, fantastic. So we can just go ahead to start the session. So let's kickstart this session. We'll start off with an introduction. So who are we at Analytics and how do we do what we do? Now, I have 2 screens here. This is where my camera is and this is where my screen is. So if you see me looking to the side, all right, not to worry. Now, Analytics is a leading edtech, that's educational technology company, and we are focused on providing specialized training in technology skills and also helping to deliver comprehensive data consulting services. Now, we've been here for 5 years, okay? And over the past 5 years, we have spent that time building the talent for the technology workforce. And we have helped over 3,500, people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across the different regions like the UK, the US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and also Africa. Now, we are very committed, 100% committed to making the technology sector more accessible, to people of the Black community through premium experiential training in data analytics, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, cybersecurity, AI engineering, and the reason we're here today, business analysis and also agile project management. All right, we have a team of wonderful, wonderful instructors from leading global companies, like PwC, McKinsey, Amazon, and Apple. And these facilitators bring a wealth of real-world experience that they're more than happy to share with you. And they're also dedicated to delivering an engaging and practical learning experience that would ensure that you are able to receive the maximum value from your investments with us in the future. All right, so if this is the first time you're joining a Analytics Masterclass, please put a 1 in the chat. And if this is your second time or your third time, you can put any number. But if this is your first time, please put a 1. I want to see the newcomers that we have with us today. Esteline, okay, PJ, IBB says 4, iPhone 1, Lola 1, okay. We have a lot of newbies here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, I can see a couple of OGs here as well. Welcome. All right. So last year, October 2024, we got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program. All right, now if you stick with me till the end of this session, you're actually going to get access to the recording of the session as well as the slides that I'm using. So I have a lot of resources linked on the slides for you. All right, and once you get access to them, feel free to go through the slides and click on all of these links, all right? Get a lot of articles and a lot of wonderful resources linked here for you. Now, during the course of the session, my colleagues will be sharing a link in the chat box, the attendance link. Make sure to fill the attendance, all right? Because that is how we'll be able to get these resources across to you, we need your details to be able to get the resources across to you, okay? So put in your email address so that you can get the recording of this session and also the slide once the session is over. All right, so who is this person that has been speaking to you for the past 6 minutes? My name is Elizabeth Nana, and I'm a product manager and senior agile project manager here at Analytics, with half a decade of experience in both product and project management. Now, I serve as a coach for agile teams, and I've successfully been able to guide over 1,000 individuals with no prior agile experience into making a smooth transition into project management. Now, my experience spans across 4 continents and also multiple sectors like healthcare, fintech, and the educational technology sector. We have also been able to apply my deep knowledge of agile methodologies. All right, so let's get right into it. What are we here to do today? Okay, in this session, you are going to learn how to think like a project manager or a business analyst, especially when it comes to building a real-world healthcare analytics platform. All right, so, as a business analyst, whether you're a project manager or a business analyst, you also get to, capture and structure requirements like a professional. Now, that is not going to be, the focus of this session today, but we'll be focusing on how you can translate these requirements into epics, user stories, and tasks inside Jira. All right, now I'll also be walking you through the pathway to becoming an agile project manager or business analyst, the Analytics Growth Internship Program, and also our special discount offer to you. All right, so now let's talk about why this matters. A lot of people just think, when you think of tech, they think about, oh, it has to be, it has to be maybe programming and all of that, people that write code and all. Now, tech is so much more. And how can you also apply, that experience you have, whether you're a nurse, you're coming from, a nursing background, you're a pharmacist, you're coming from a teaching background, you're coming from a midwifery background. How can you apply that knowledge in the tech ecosystem, right? How can you get into tech without having to write, a single line of code? Why does project management, matter in healthcare? Now, we have a lot of, healthcare organizations that are data rich, but they are insight poor. Now, what this means is that healthcare generates a huge amount of data on a day-to-day basis. Every single day, there is a huge amount of data that is generated, from patient records. Now, if I have people that work in the healthcare sector, or at least have, a medical background or a healthcare background, I want you to put an emoji in the chat. Just put any emoji at all. Anyone that's coming from the healthcare background, just put any emoji in the chat. So I know that, as I'm speaking, I have people that can, oh, fantastic. I see Juliet. Great. Let's see. Please go ahead. Okay. Yolanda. Okay. Jid's iPhone as well. Matilda, PJ. Fantastic. So we actually have people coming from that sector. Great. Now you agree with me that, every single day in the hospital or in the healthcare sector, generally, we have a lot of patient records, we have lab results, we have billing systems. Now, all of this is data. But the problem here is that most of this data just sits there, right? It's raw, it is unstructured, and it is not easily usable. I mean, sometimes when you want to access some of these data points, you are even confused because you don't exactly understand how the system works or how it was stored. All right. Now, the thing is, that's why we say data, healthcare is data rich, but insights poor. The information is there, but these organizations are struggling to turn it into something meaningful for decision making. All right, now we say decisions about staffing, treatment, equipment, and costs also need analytics. Think about the type of decisions that we make in the hospital on a day-to-day basis, right? How many nurses should we schedule for, this department or this surgery tonight? What treatments are being overused or underused? Do we have the right equipment? Do we have the right machines? Are some machines just sitting idly while, some other machines are overbooked? Now, these are a lot of decisions that affect the running of, the day-to-day operations of the hospital. And they are not decisions that you can just make by guesswork. All right. Analytics turns messy data into clear actions and also helps to guide decisions. Now, I know a lot of people might be confused. They're like, I joined the project management, masterclass. Why is she talking about analytics? I'm scared of data. Now, every single thing we do in this life, right, involves data. Now, how do we, contribute to, the humankind, in our capacity as a business analyst or a project manager? I'm going to be walking us through that tonight. All right. Now, project managers and business analysts play a major role in translating business pain points into tech products. Now, here's the fun part. All right. Today, you are going to step into the shoes of a project manager or a business analyst, because I'm sure a lot of us on the call here today, we are aspiring project managers or business analysts. Now, you're going to be stepping into those shoes for the next 1 hour. All right. So just lend me your ears. Now, you're going to be working on a healthcare analytics project together. We'll do it together on the call from scratch. Your challenge, is going to be to build an MVP, right? But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Now, I'm going to just show you how project managers and business analysts step in. What is our job exactly when it comes to the healthcare space, especially when it comes to analytics, right? Our job is to listen to the business pain points. We need to understand what exactly is this organization struggling with. Is it the long patient wait times? Is it, that the workload spread amongst the nurses are uneven? What exactly are they struggling with? And how can we help translate these into technology requirements for the technical guys? All right. Remember, as the project manager or as a business analyst, you are the bridge, right? You are the middleman between the non-technical stakeholders and also the technical stakeholders. So how do you get the business pain points from the non-technical stakeholders and then translate them into actionable points for the technical people to work on? So our work is so much more than just gathering requirements. We actually also help to shape them into features that would solve the problem that organization or that healthcare, hospital is experiencing. And like I said earlier, we are that bridge, in the healthcare sector, we are the bridge between the healthcare professionals and then the tech team that are going to be building these solutions. You know what? So instead of just talking theory tonight, let's just roll up our sleeves. Let's get ready, because we're going to take a real hospital scenario. We're going to break it down into user stories, and then we are actually going to build a simple health analytics MVP inside Jira together. But before we go into Jira, I just want to show you a snapshot of what your Jira dashboard looks like. Now, this is what we call the product backlog looks like, excuse me, on Jira. What your product backlog looks like on Jira. Very soon, you're going to see it in real time, but this is what the snapshot is. Now, your product backlog is a living document of every single thing that you need to do on your projects, right? So think of it as a to-do list, right? Think of, when you're trying to move into a new apartment, right? And then you write down a list of all the things that you need to buy for that apartment, every single thing, from your mattress to your TV to your fridge, and all of that. You write down everything. Now, that is your product backlog when it comes to projects, right? It contains every single thing that needs to go, whether it's features, tasks, or user stories, every single thing that needs to go into that project. Now, let's talk about the Scrum framework. As Agile project managers, we do a deep dive into the two most popular frameworks that we have here, the two most popular Agile frameworks, which is Scrum and then Kanban. Tonight, I'm going to be taking you through the Scrum framework. Now, when it comes to the Scrum framework, we have what we call epics, we have what we call features, and then we have what we call user stories. Now, epics, think of epics as an umbrella, right? An epic represents multiple features or many user stories. It's like a tree, right? You know how your tree has multiple branches, different branches, a lot of branches, and then they have leaves on those branches. Now think of the epic as that tree. So the epic houses a lot of different features or different user stories, and then they can take months to build, and they work at the release level. Now the epic is what the end user tends to focus on. All right. The epic is what the end user tends to focus on. Like I said, remember, it's an umbrella, right? To house a lot of features or a lot of user stories. Now, when we talk about features, features are smaller than epics, but they are bigger than user stories. Features can take weeks or possibly one or more iterations to build. Again, iterations are, I feel like there's so much to unpack in this session. I don't know if I have enough time to do that, but if you want to learn more, all right, just make sure to enroll for either the business analysis program or the agile project management program here at Analytics, all right, so that we can take everything from scratch, because, Rome was not built in a day. This is more than enough information that I can share with you across 6 months. I can't just cram it into 1 hour, but I'm going to try my best. All right. So when we talk about features are what customers and then product owners tend to focus on. I mean, from the name, you understand what a feature is. Oh, the login feature, or the send money feature, or, the profile feature. That's what features are. But they're smaller than epics, because epics could contain multiple features or many user stories. And then let's talk about user stories. So I know a lot of this is going to sound like just Latin to a lot of people, but not to worry. We're going to go into Jira and we're going to practicalize everything that we're learning here together in real time. All right. Now, a user story is the smallest increment of value. A user story takes days, perhaps a week or 2 at most to build. And that is what the development team tends to focus on. Now, that is the start of the show tonight. When we talk about translating requirements from the business stakeholders to the technical stakeholders, we use what we call user stories. All right. Because yes, you get the requirements. Yes, you get it in English. Okay, you get it in English from the business guys, maybe the CEO, maybe the project sponsor, maybe the end users, detailing exactly what the pain points of that organization or what that business needs, right? Now you've gotten those requirements, you need to break it down into something that the technical guys can work on. And you need to translate it into something that they can understand. And that's what we use user stories for. So user stories, like it says here, is what the development team tends to focus on. Now we'll look at an example of a user story here. There's an acceptable format worldwide when it comes to writing user stories, whether you're a business analyst or you're a project manager. All right, it follows just one format. As a dash, I want to dash so that I can dash. That's it. If you have your pen and paper with you, just take it down. As a dash, right? I mean, we'll fill in the blanks later. I want to dash so that I can dash. That is the format of a user story. Now, when you want to write user stories, what are the tips that you need to have at the back of your mind when it comes to writing user stories? The first thing you want to do is you want to identify who your end user or who your target audience is. Who is the person that is going to be using this product that you want to build? Okay, you're building a mobile phone. Who is the person that is going to use this mobile phone, right? You're building a house. Who is the person that is going to use this house, right? You want to identify who your end user is, because that is very important. From the name, user story, it's not your story. It's not the business analyst story. It's not the project manager story. It is the user's story. So you're going to be telling it from the perspective of the end user. All right, so you think about who your target audience is or who your end user is, and that is how you start. So as a dash, we have an example here. Say we want to build a nanny cam, right? For those of us who don't know, for some people that don't have kids yet, if you want to, when we talk about nanny cams are what people use, especially in the western part of the world, where you have separate rooms for your child. You can have your child in a room, maybe in their crib, and then a separate room, and then you want to go to the kitchen to do the dishes, or you want to make dinner, and then there's a small camera that you can put in your baby's room and connect it to your mobile phone so that you can actually watch your baby sleeping from wherever you are in the house. All right, so you just have to go with your phone and then you're able to watch your baby. Now that's a nanny cam. So let's say that we want to build a nanny cam. That's the project that we're embarking on right now. So the first thing we want to do is identify our end user. Of course, we're building nanny cams. The people that are going to be using the nanny cams are not drivers. All right, they're not school teachers. They are not, college students. The people that are going to be using the nanny cams are parents. So now you have identified your end user as a parent. That's the first part of your user story. Then you want to specify what exactly this end user wants. What is the solution that you're offering to them? As a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering the room. All right, that's the second part of the user story. As a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering the room. And then step 3 is where you now describe what the benefits of your products would be to that user. All right, remember, first thing you do is you identify your end user, you specify what they want, and then you describe the benefit. All right, so the end user is a parent. As a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering the room so that I can know he's safe without disturbing him. Now, that's the end goal. That's what the parent wants. They want to be able to check on their sleeping baby without entering the room at all, so that they can know what is happening in the room. They can know that the baby is still sleeping. They can know that the baby is safe. If the baby cries, they know when the baby is crying and they can go and get their child. Now, after writing your user story, there's something we call acceptance criteria, right? Like your definition of done. What determines that this story is done? Right? What determines that, the developers have been able to fully accomplish what you gave them, the task you gave them. So your acceptance criteria is like a checklist. All right. It's like a checklist that you create for these guys, for your developers, so that you're explaining to them exactly what you want them to build. It's one thing for the idea to be up here in your head. Yes, you have spoken to the sponsor, you've spoken to the end users, you know what the idea is, but now you want to pass that information across. Now, for all of us in this, on this call tonight that we use, artisans, for example. Now, if you want to use an artisan to maybe make you a closet, a lot of times you look for a picture online, and send to the artisan that this is what I want. Can you replicate this for me? Now, that's what your user story does. Right now, we don't have screenshots to share with the developers. What we have is our acceptance criteria. So we're giving them a checklist of how we want the feature to work, and also something that the tester can use to test once we are done. Now, that is what the user story entails. So let's not bore us further with the theory. Let's get right into the practical aspect of things. So we're here tonight to build a healthcare analytics platform, and we're going to be looking at this case study, PulseView Health. Right now, PulseView Health is a medical analytics company that is developing a web-based dashboard to help hospitals make smarter operational decisions. All right. Now, the product owner has outlined a key requirement here. Hospital administrators should be able to view patient wait times. They should be able to see the top illnesses, and they should also be able to see staff workload in real time. All right. Now, finance managers should also be able to compare treatment cost versus revenue through a dashboard. The business analyst or the project manager has been tasked with breaking down these requirements. You've gotten the requirements from, the business guys. Now you want to break it down into user stories and add them to the product backlog in Jira. Now, you have gathered your requirements, step 1. And after gathering the requirements, here is the high level requirements that, has been gathered from discussions with the stakeholders. We have 4 of them. The first one says admin users should be able to view average patient wait times per department. The second says admin users should be able to monitor the top 5 illnesses by frequency each month. The third says admin users should be able to view staff to patient workload ratios. And finally, the fourth says finance users should be able to compare treatment cost versus revenue per quarter. Now, this is what, the business stakeholders want this product to do. You've gotten these requirements. Now you want to break it down into user stories for the development team. So let's go to Jira. But before we go to Jira, I just want to make sure that I still have people on this call right now listening to me. So if you're listening to me, please put a letter now. A letter. I want to see a letter in the chat. Any letter of the alphabet. Thank you, Makinde, Ola Makinde. Thank you, PJ. Thank you. Oh, okay, fantastic. We have quite a lot of people. I can barely read the names. It's just coming in. Great. So I know people are actually listening to me. So let's go to Jira together. Now, what I did because of time is I already went ahead to break down these requirements. I moved them on Jira already, but I'm going to walk you through how you can create a new project on Jira. I already created a project, but I'm going to show you how you can also do that. Now, when you navigate to your Jira, via the web, or if you download the mobile application, you'll be able to see this plus screen on the left-hand side, this menu here where you see project and you see plus. Anytime you see plus on any application, it means you're trying to add something. Okay, so we want to create a new project. So we're going to click on this plus. It says create project. Now, once I click on plus, we have a lot of project templates. Now, the truth is you can use Jira for just about anything. You can use Jira for HR, you can use Jira for software development, you can use Jira even in your personal life to track your to-dos, your day-to-day activity, anything at all. And there are a lot of templates here that you can choose from. But because of what we're working on tonight, we are going to be choosing the software development template. So you see this template right here, I'm just going to click on software development. And once I click on software development, it opens up some more templates that I can use, right? Remember, I said earlier that the two most popular frameworks in Agile, we have Kanban and then we have Scrum. And who can remind me what our focus for tonight is? Put it in the chat, I want to make this session as interactive as possible. Who can remind me? Are we focusing on Kanban or are we focusing on Scrum? Larry says Scrum. Thank you very much, Larry. Fantastic. Olanike says Scrum as well. Great. So what that means is we're just going to go ahead and choose the Scrum templates. Easy peasy. All right. So you choose the Scrum template and it just gives you an overview. You can take your time to read through this, but once you're done reading, you just want to scroll to the bottom and click on use templates right here on my screen. Use template. Now, once you do that, it asks you to choose a project type. Now you have two types. You have the team managed and then you have the company managed. Now the company managed is paid for. So if you're working as an organization, this is what the organization will be using and they'll be paying for it every single month. But for us, we just want to use this for the sake of this presentation. The team managed is free. So you just want to go ahead and select a team managed project. And then it asks you to put in your project details. So what is the name of your project? Let's say Pulse View Demo. Let's just call it Pulse View Demo. All right, now that's the name of your project. Now what Jira always does is Jira would give you a key because once your project name is long, it's not going to always tell you Pulse View Demo. It's going to tell you PD, right? Using the initials. So anywhere you see PD, the PD project, it's talking about the Pulse View Demo project. Now, and just like that, you can click on create project right at the bottom and you are done. All right. And then it asks you to, maybe invite your team members if you have team members. Let's just give that a minute to load up. Fantastic. Jira project created successfully. Now, if you have team members, you just want to put in their email here, and then they will get an email inviting them to join this board. For the sake of this presentation, we are going to skip this part. So we just go over here and click on skip. And just like that, you've created your projects. All right, so I'm checking the chat now. Did we get what I just did? Or would you like me to go over it again? How to create a project on Jira. If you got it, please give me a thumbs up. Looking in the chat. Did anybody understand how I just created this new project on Jira? PJ, thank you very much. All right, fantastic. Please. Okay, Olivia says, please go over. Ejiro says, go over it. Okay, great. Happy to do that. All right, happy to do that. So we're doing it once again. Please pay attention. You see right here on the left-hand side, the menu on the left-hand side, you see project and you see a plus here. When you see a plus, it means create, right, or add. So now that we want to create a new project, we are going to click on this plus right here on my screen. Once you click on plus, you get a lot of templates that you can choose from. All right, look at this. Project templates, recommended, bundles, custom templates, software development, etc. Now, because of what we're doing, we're going to choose software development. You can choose any template of choice. All right. So once you click on software development, it opens up more templates that you can choose from here. And because our focus tonight is Scrum, we are going to click on Scrum. This is Scrum right here, the second one. So once you click on Scrum, it shows you an overview of Scrum, right? And then you want to read through it. Once you're done, at the bottom here, it says use templates. Just click on use templates and then choose team managed projects because we want the free plan. Select a team managed project and put in the name of your project. All right, I'm going to write Olivia's projects. All right, you see, it gave me a key, OP. So anywhere you see OP, it means Olivia's project. Now, what I've done is I've put in the name of my project. I just want to click on create project. Now, Olivia, if you were working in a team, if you had people in your team, like your developers, your designers, and so on and so forth, it's going to ask you to invite them to your Jira board. So this is where you start inviting them. You get their email addresses and you put it here. You see, it says enter an email address. You put it here, and then once you're done, you invite them. So they get a link in their email to join your Jira board. But I don't have team members on this call tonight, so I'm going to skip this step. So I click on skip, and then just like that, Olivia, I just created your project. All right. So I'm sure we got that now. Just do not forget to fill the attendance form. All right. Remember that you need access to this recording so that you can also go over it, at your own time. So fill the attendance form so you can get access to the recording and also the slides that I am using. So I just created Olivia's project. Thank you, Olivia. And now we are going to go back to the projects that I created beforehand. All right. For the sake of time. So let's go back to the Pulse View Health project and go to the backlog. Fantastic. So if you remember from our case study, we had 4 requirements that the business analyst or the project manager had gotten from, the business stakeholders. And that person wanted to break down those 4 requirements into user stories for, the developers to start working on. So what I just did, the first requirement was to show patient wait times. The second requirement was to show the top illnesses. The third requirement was to show staff workload. And the fourth requirement was for the finance department to be able to compare cost and revenue. How much are we spending versus how much are we making? All right, that's what we're doing. But for the sake of this presentation, we're going to do just 3. I'm going to leave the fourth one because we don't have all the time in the world. All right, so I went ahead to do the first 2, and I'm going to walk you through it, and then we'll do the third one together. Now, if you remember, I told you that there's a globally approved format for writing user stories. As a dash, I want to dash so that I can dash. All right, identify your end users. What is it that they'll be benefiting? And then you want to put in the why. All right, so as an admin, because again, the admins in the hospital, the administrators in the hospital are the people that are going to be using this healthcare analytics platform. It's not Elizabeth. It's not the project manager or the product manager or, the business analyst. It is the administrators. So you're writing from their perspective. As an admin, I want to see how long patients wait in each department so that I can fix delays. Now, this is just a very simple feature. And what these hospital admins are asking for is they want to be able to see how long are we keeping our patients in each department. So if things are slow, if there's a delay in a specific department, they're able to figure it out. All right, that's what this user story is saying. So by using this user story as an admin, I want to see how long patients wait in each department so that I can fix delays. You're telling the developers exactly what you want, how you want the feature to work or what the feature is all about. And then we go ahead to add the acceptance criteria. Now, remember I said this is like a checklist for your developers and also for your testers. So you put in the acceptance criteria that the admin should be able to choose a department. Now, if you agree with me that, in a hospital, there are different departments. There is the PEDS ward or the PEDS department, there's the emergency department, there's A and E, and so on and so forth. So now, in order for you to see how long patients are waiting in each department, you want to be able to select which departments are you looking at. It's just like right here on the left-hand side of my screen, right, on Jira. You can see Olivia's project, you can see Pulse View demo, you can see Pulse View Health, you can see masterclass demo, and so on and so forth. So basically, I'm saying that, on the healthcare analytics dashboard as well, I want to be able to see a list of all the departments in the hospital, just like this, and then select the one I want. All right, so that's for the first acceptance criteria. Then the second one says, I want to see the average wait time in minutes, meaning once I click on, maybe the pediatrics department, for example, I want to see what is the average time that people have to wait before they're attended to. Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? And we could have a benchmark. So we could say that, once it is more than 5 minutes, that means that person is waiting for too long. So what happens is that you're able to see as an administrator, once you open the PEDS, sector on the analytics platform, you're able to see, what the average wait time is. Oh, the average wait time is 5 minutes. Okay, that's fantastic. Things are moving well. Let me check another dashboard. All right. And that's what I'm just putting here in the acceptance criteria. And then the last one says, the admin should be able to see if the wait time is too high. So if the wait time is too high, it should actually show in red. So if, for example, the wait time is 15 minutes, it should show in red. You know what red signifies? Just like danger, even though we are not trying to be alarmist. But once the administrator opens a particular, particular department sector and he sees that the wait time is in red, what that administrator knows is that, the wait time is too long and maybe we need to deploy more staff. What's going on? What's the hold up? What's causing the hold up in that particular department? Now, that is what this particular feature is going to be able to do. And that's what I've just been able to tell the developers. Now, whoever is going to get this task, we have the icon here to assign these tasks to somebody. So if I had my team members on this board, I would have just assigned it to them. Now, whoever I assign it to, once they see this, they understand exactly what I mean. They understand how I want the features to work, right? So I'm telling them that this is how I want it to look like. I want to be able to choose a department. I want to be able to see the average wait time in minutes. And I also want to be able to see if the wait time is too high. Of course, we can have more than 3 acceptance criteria, okay? But for the sake of this presentation and to keep things short, I chose 3. Now, let's take a look at the second requirement. The second requirement is to show top illnesses. All right, so I've gone ahead to also put the user story here. We followed the format as a dash. I want to dash so that I can dash. All right, so as an admin, I want to see the 5 most common illnesses each month so that I can know what patients mostly come in for. So what this means is, the administrators want to be able to track, the most common illnesses. Is it cough? Is it cough that we treated the most last month? Or is it fever that we treated the most? Is it malaria? Is it typhoid? What exactly was the top, most common illnesses that we treated so that we can know that, okay, last month we had about 5,000 patients come in because of malaria, or we had about 2,000 patients come in because of the flu. That's what this feature is all about. The administrator wants to be able to see the 5 most common illnesses each month. Now, the acceptance criteria says the administrator should be able to select a month. Of course, if you want to see something each month, there should be the option of, there's June, there's August, there's July, there's April, there's March. So if the person wants to see the 5 most common illnesses in March, the person can select March. All right. If the person wants to see the 5 most common illnesses in April, the person can also select April. Now, for the second acceptance criteria, I say I can see a list of the top 5 illnesses. Now, that is very strategic, all right? We put 5 there because we want to see the top 5. There could be a top 6, there could be a top 7, but we want to see the top 5. Now, what I'm trying to say here is I don't need to see all the illnesses that were treated. I just need to see the top 5. The ones that we treated most frequently in that month, the 5 most common illnesses that we treated in this hospital in March or in April. And then I can also see how many patients had each illness. So if I see malaria, I can see 5,000 patients. If I see flu, I can see 2,000 patients. If I see cough, I can see 500 patients, and so on and so forth. So I'm able to see how many patients had each illness. Again, what I've just been able to do is break it down for the developers to understand what exactly I want them to build. All right, so are we ready to do one together? I want to see emojis in the chat. I don't like a quiet session at all. So put emojis in the chat for me so we can go to the third one and do it together. Put emojis in the chat and don't forget to fill the attendance form. Thank you, Olajumoke. One more person. Okay, thank you, Julia. Thank you, PJ. Fantastic. Great, now let's do the third one together. The third one says show staff workload. Now I want us to try, remember the format, as a dash or as an administrator or as an admin, I want to dash so that I can dash. Now I want us to try and put in the comments or in the chat box. Try, make an attempt, right? Try to write this user story for following so just see if you actually understand everything I've been saying so far. I'm looking in the chats. As business analysts, as project managers, we can't be shy. All right. So just give it your best shot. Let's see. It's looking too quiet. It's looking too quiet. Does anybody want to try or should I wrap it up? What's going on? Okay, Timmy says, as an admin, I want to be able to see the number of patients per staff so I can know when I can move. Fantastic. Very well done, Timmy. Thank you so much. Does anyone else want to try? Princess says, as an admin, I want to see how much work each staff has to do so that I can help reduce. Wonderful. I feel like my work here is done. Apparently, we understand it. Olanike says, I want to see how much workload is there, how many staff are there, and how to see how many patients per each staff as an admin. Great work, Olanike. Ayodele says, as an admin, I want to see the particular number of patients a particular staff is dealing with so that I can adequately manage it. Fantastic, fantastic. So let me pick one of these user stories and put it in Jira. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to go with Princess's user story. As an admin, I want to see how much work each staff has to do so that I can help reduce if it is too much on a particular staff. So we're going to modify it a little bit. Let's go ahead and put it there. As an admin, I want to be able to see how much work each staff or nurse, right, has to do so I can adequately manage their workload. That's it, guys. That's just it. That's just it when it comes to user stories. So now we can go ahead to start adding the acceptance criteria for this particular user story, right? What is the acceptance criteria? How do we want this feature to work? You know, what do the developers need to know so that they can go ahead to build this feature for us? Let's put number 1. Okay, what do you think that the acceptance criteria should be? So in this case, when we talk about the staff now, let's talk about the nurses. So the admin, number 1, should be able to see the amount of patients each nurse has. So if we have Nurse Olivia, if we have Nurse Princess, Nurse Violet, Nurse Toby, I should be able to see that, okay, Nurse Olivia has 5 patients. Nurse Violet has 20 patients. Nurse Toby has 30 patients. You know, by the time I see it that way, I'm able to see that, oh, you know, Nurse Olivia actually has a small number of patients, and then Nurse Toby has 30. That's too much for Nurse Toby. How about we shift, you know, some of Nurse Toby's patients to Nurse Olivia so that it is more equal? So that is the first acceptance criteria. Admin can see how much or how many patients each nurse has. All right. So that's the first acceptance criteria that we can use. All right. So the second acceptance criteria, we can also say we want to select it by department, because Nurse Toby could be in the pediatrics department while Nurse Olivia is in the emergency ward. So we want to be able to select it by department to see how many nurses, you know, have how many patients in each department. So admin can select by departments. All right. So who wants to go? Let's just add one more. Someone should try just one more acceptance criteria. How do you think this should work? Just one more. Let's try one more before we wrap it up. How do you think this should work? For this particular, admin can assign tasks to each nurse. Fantastic, Olanike. So I think what you mean is assign patients. So reassign. Let's use the word reassign. So admin can reassign patients to each nurse. So what that means is when they see Nurse Toby has 30 and Nurse Olivia has 5, they can reassign some of Nurse Toby's patients. You know, Bode says admin can distribute patients accordingly. Fantastic, exactly. So they can reassign some of, you know, Nurse Toby's patients to Nurse Olivia, you know, just using their dashboard. They don't need to do anything. You know, now this is the era of tech. Everything is easier and faster. All right. So admin can reassign patients to each nurse, and there you have it, right? Of course, we can go on, but we're just going to stop here for tonight. So that is that about, you know, writing a user story and an acceptance criteria. All right. Now, you know, I talked about epics as well. Epics being an umbrella. Now, an epic could have multiple features and multiple user stories, right? So let's go ahead to create an epic. So for this particular project right now, we're going to have two epics. One has to do with operations and one has to do with finances. Because when you look at this first user story around show patient wait times, show top illnesses, and show staff workload, that has to do more with operations, the day-to-day activities, or how many staff, how many nurses, how many staff does each nurse have, what are the wait times, and so on and so forth. So we can just click on this create button at the top of my screen. You click on create here and it asks you what work type, right? So you click on this, you have task, you have bug, you have story, and then you have epic. So because this is not a user story, this is an epic, we're going to choose epic. And then we're going to just call it operations dashboard. All right. So when we call it operations dashboard, you can actually select a color. So you can make it blue, and then click on create. Now, what that means is it serves as an organizer, right? So anywhere you link that epic to, anybody that comes on this dashboard would know that, okay, so this particular task is linked to this epic. So let's go ahead to link our user stories to epics. I already put operations dashboard here. You see it here, it's already linked, operations dashboard. There's a plus sign here to add the epic as well. Just click on the plus sign, put operations dashboard, click on this plus sign and put operations dashboard. And there you have it. You just linked your user stories to an epic. Let's create another epic together. We'll call that one the finance dashboard. So it's already here, epic. We'll just put in finance dashboard. Let's choose a color for this. Let's give it red, and then we create it. So once we do that, I have just created the epic. Now we can link it to this finance user story. You click on epic, and then you see finance dashboard here, and you see the difference. So what I just did is I just organized it. So even if I have 20 tasks or 20 user stories in my product backlog, once I organize them this way, we are able to see what has to do with operations and what also has to do with finance. And once you want to start your sprint, all you have to do is select what you want to work on. Don't worry, I'm not going to go too in-depth when it comes to that. If you want to know more, remember to enroll for the business analysis program or the Agile project management program. So you just select what you want to work on and move it into your sprint backlog, and then click on start sprints. And just like that, all our tasks will be moved to the sprint board. And this is where we are able to see, let's just give it a minute to load up. And this is where we are able to see the progress of, the tasks. So we're able to see what is in to do, what has been done, what is currently in progress, and so on and so forth. All right. So there seems to be a glitch here, but just know that, you have just gone ahead to start your sprint. Now, that is what we are going to be treating tonight. Now, anytime we talk about analytics or we talk about projects, it seems very, very hard, to a lot of people. But what we just did was we just broke down the requirements. Now, granted, if you're actually working on this project, you have more than 4 requirements, right? You have multiple requirements, and you just go ahead to break these multiple requirements just the way I did into user stories, into acceptance criteria, and then link them to epics. Easy peasy, just like that. All right. And then you go ahead to assign tasks to the people that are going to be working on it. So now I want to ask a question. If you've stayed with me up until this point, if you're on this call tonight, would you want to be a business analyst or a project manager? I want to see it in the chats. Put BA if you want to be a business analyst, and put PM if you want to be a project manager. So I see Chemo Graphics says, am I the only one who can't see the screen again? Chemo, I think that could be from your end because I'm still sharing my screen. All right, let's just confirm. I'm still sharing my screen. So Ayodele says BA, Annie says PM. Olanika says BA and PM. Olanika, you're going to have to choose one. Princess says BA. Timmy says BA. Boade Olajumoke says BA, IBB says PM, Josiah says PM. Okay, so it looks like the BAs are winning. And I know there's some people that also don't know what they want to do yet, and that's okay. All right, that's also why we're here. And I'm hoping that by the end of this session, once you stick with me till the end, you'll be able to pick the one you prefer. All right, so now let's move on. What are the 3 things that you need to do today? Right? You have already identified where you want to be. For the people that want to be either a business analyst or a project manager. And the first thing you want to do is you want to learn. All right, get the skills that are needed. Whether you want to be a project manager or a business analyst, trust me, what I just shared with you is like 0.2% of what you'll be doing. All right, there is so much more. Like I said, 1 hour is not enough to cover it. So the first thing you want to do is get the skills, focus. And how do you do that? By actually enrolling for a program, taking the program and working on projects, all right, so that you can hone your skills in either business analysis or project management. And then you want to package yourself very well. All right. So I'm from Nigeria, and as Nigerians, there's a lot of things, when it comes to packaging. Packaging is very important, but not just as Nigerians, as also as human beings. All right. It's very important for you to package yourself. And now when we talk about packaging, in the tech ecosystem, we're talking about just making sure that you revamp your CV, you optimize your LinkedIn, you have mentorship, you have mentors, you have people that are going to hold your hand every step of the way, in this new journey. Because again, a lot of us are coming from the healthcare sector and we're trying to break into tech. So how do you know what to do if you don't have someone who has already done it before you to speak to you about it, prepping you for interviews and so on. I'm going to talk more about that, in coming slides. But once you're done packaging, the next thing you want to do is you want to apply aggressively. That is how you get the job. All right. Now, what are the tech skills that you need to learn to get a job? In fact, I don't even want to go over this because I can see that we have already chosen what we want to do. We've chosen business analysis, we've chosen agile project management. Okay. Now, these are the 2 skills that we're talking about in this session tonight. All right. In as much as 10 Analytics also has other programs, that is our focus tonight. And we made sure that these 2 skills are very relevant in the job market. We did a lot to make sure that they are very relevant in the job market, from conducting our own data analysis. We went to different job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor. We went to check, what are these skills that recruiters are looking for? Recruiters in Canada are looking for, recruiters in the US, recruiters in Australia, recruiters in the UK, London, what are they looking for? And then we're able to pick these 8 skills, out of which we'll be discussing 2 tonight: business analysis and agile project management. But after picking that, we also said, you know what, let's seek external validation. So we decided to go out there, right? And we decided to go out there and look for any organization that doesn't know 10 Analytics, that has no affiliations with 10 Analytics whatsoever, and see what they have to say. So we wanted to just make sure that, these skills that we're talking about, business analysis, agile project management, how are we sure that they are actually in high demand? All right. How are we sure that AI is not just going to come and take over these skills by next year? So what we did was we went online and then we found the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Report for 2025. So remember, like I said, remember to fill the feedback form or the attendance form so that you can have access to my slides, because I also have the reports linked on my slide. All right. Now, the World Economic Forum, WEF, it says something very, very interesting. It says that in the next 5 years, now we're in 2025, by 2030, 170 million jobs will be created. So they're actually going to be creating new jobs in the tech ecosystem, and 92 million jobs will disappear. All right, you can see a snapshot of the reports right here on my screen. You can see some boxes are in red, some are in blue, and some are in green. Whatever you do in this life, you want to make sure that you are not in the red zone. Try to get in blue, which signifies the stable jobs, right? Or the green jobs, which signifies the jobs that are going to be created in the coming years. All right. The red signifies the jobs that are going to destroy, about 92 million of them. All right. Remember, this is a report that is available on the web. Anybody right now, so you're listening to the sound of my voice, you can open Google and put in World Economic Forum and you'll be able to see these reports. So you don't have to take my word for it. But I went ahead to also take some snapshots of this report and just show you the in-demand career path. according to the World Economic Forum. And right here, we can see agile project managers, and we can also see business analysts. Now, what this just did for us was it validated us. It validated our internal data analysis because, when we conducted the data analysis in-house and then we selected the programs that we wanted to offer, we also needed to make sure that we were correct. And what the World Economic Forum just did was to show us that, yes, you are correct. So these two career paths are safe from, being taken over by AI. Now, there's this misconception where people say, oh, I don't know if I should learn this. Elizabeth is talking and it sounds very sweet, but, AI, I keep hearing about AI. How am I sure that AI is not just going to come and take over my job by next year? All right. Now, this is the proof that you need. I tell people AI cannot just come and take over your job. It's people who have learned how to use AI that will come to take over your job. And that's also something that we offer, in our training, but let's move on. Let's just forge ahead. Now let's look at some success stories. If you joined this session at the very beginning, you'd have seen some videos playing. I can sit down here and speak to you for 10 hours on success stories alone, because we've been able to help more than 3,500 people transition from whether, midwifery, from, being a doctor or being a nurse into, just going into tech, whether they are going into data analytics, business analysis, project management, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to be spotlighting just two very important success stories tonight so that you can see that these people don't have two heads. All right. If they can do it, you can also do it as well. Let's look at the story of Judith. Judith went from being a carer in the UK. She was working, a care job, as I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with that. She went from being a carer in the UK to being a business analyst. Now, the reason I chose Judith's story is, it's very simple. I'm also trying to show you that you can come from any background at all. It doesn't matter. You can be a teacher. You can be, Judith, for example, had a background in HR while she was still in Nigeria. When she was back in Nigeria, she had a background in HR. All right. And then she went into the UK. She came to the UK and she started working as a carer, right? Because she was still studying. But Judith was able to move from being a carer to being a business analyst. And this can be you as well. All right. Now, what did she do? How did she make this move? The very first thing she did was to learn. Judith she joined the 10 Analytics Business Analysis Program, and she completed that program in March 2024, over a year ago, right? She completed that program last year. Now, after completing that program, what did she do? She packaged herself, right? She was able to tailor her CV to the role of a business analyst, right? Of course, with our help, because we will also help you to revamp your CV and teach you how you can tailor your CV. So she tailored her CV to the role of a business analyst. She joined all the mentorship sessions that we had, and she got prepped for multiple interviews. That's another thing that we also offer. Once you get an interview, you can book a one-on-one interview preparatory session. You can even book a one-on-one session with myself, right? To prep you for that interview so that you know exactly what you're going to get when you go into that interview, right? I tell you what the likely questions are. What is this recruiter going to ask you? If they ask you this question, Olivia, this is what you should tell them. If they ask you this question, Princess, this is what you should tell them. This is the way you should answer them. Now, what this does is it boosts your confidence. So by the time you go into, the actual job interview, you're already prepared and ready to go. All right. That was the second thing that, Judith did. The third thing she did was she applied. Judith kept applying. Judith applied to a lot of jobs, both in the UK and also in the US. And she got most of these jobs from the 10 Analytics job board, which you also have access to. But I'll speak about that, when the time comes. And then finally, she got the job. Now, she completed that program in March. Very important that you note the dates. She completed that program with us in March of 2024. And in July of 2024, barely how many months apart now, right? 3 months apart, right? She landed a job as a business analyst in the US, working remotely from the UK. Now, that is very possible. All right. So you're not even limited to just applying to jobs in the UK. If you're in the UK, I saw a lot of people from the UK here. It's very possible for you to get a remote job as a business analyst or as a project manager while you're in the UK and you're working in the US, you're working for a company in the US. So if Judith did it, what is stopping you from doing this? All right, you can see that Judith got this job less than 4 months after completing the program. Now we've looked at Judith. Let's take one more. Let's look at Esther. This one is very dear to my heart. All right. Esther also went from being a carer in the UK to being a project manager. All right. Esther had no tech background at all while she was in Nigeria. She didn't know anything about tech. Absolute beginner. Because I'm sure if I give a lot of us on this call, access to speak right now, they're going to tell me, Elizabeth, I don't know, is this possible? Because I don't have any background in tech. Now, Esther is here to tell you that it actually is possible. All right. She also worked as a carer while she was taking the program with us. She was in the UK. And what did Esther do? The first thing Esther did was she learned. Esther joined the 10 Analytics Agile Project Manager training program in April 2025, just a few months back. All right. So this is very dear to my heart because Esther is currently still in this program, but Esther has landed a job. Okay. So if Esther could do it, what is stopping Olivia from doing it? What is stopping Princess from doing it? What is stopping Toby from doing it as well? Now, after Esther joined the program, she went ahead to package. She tailored her CV, to that of a project manager. We revamped her CV for her. She joined all the mentorship sessions. I personally prepped Esther for multiple interviews. I would show you, when she said it, I prepped her for a lot of interviews because, again, it's not magic. It's not like you just get one interview and you get a job. Sometimes you have to do it over and over, 2, 3, 4 times, right? And I made sure to prep her every step of the way for these interviews. Right. She also applied to a lot of jobs. Esther applied and applied and applied. Esther would always tell me, Elizabeth, I have to keep applying. I know what I want. So I have to keep applying for these jobs. I'm not comfortable where I am, doing what I'm currently doing, which is care. I want to upgrade my life. I want to change my earning power. Right. I want to also earn 6 figures. I want to get into tech. Every time I speak to Esther, she's already telling me, Elizabeth, I'm tired, but I have to keep at it. So she applied to a lot of jobs. And finally, Esther got a job in July 2025. All right. Now, remember, Esther joined the program in April. So Esther has actually not even finished the program. She's still in the April cohort for Agile Project Management, and she was able to land contract manager role with the same service in the UK. And she works hybrid, right? 3 days in the office and 2 days from her home in Manchester. So Esther got the job 4 months into the program. Again, remember to fill the attendance form, because I have all of these testimonials linked here. So once you get the slides, you're able to click on this link and actually watch what Esther had to say about the program and how we were able to prep her, to get this job. Just drilling into, what I just shared about Esther. Now, this was when she sent us the message. You can see how excited. Look at the epistle that she sent first off. And she sent the message, she was just so happy. She says, "Good afternoon, Sofiat." Now, Sofiat is the program coordinator for the Agile Project Management Program. She says, "Good afternoon, Sofiat. I got the job. I want to take this moment to say thank you to both you and Elizabeth." She talked about the interview prep and how it helped her. I don't want to go over this. Again, once you get the slides, you can also go over all of these success stories yourself. If I start to go over them, we'll sleep here. Look at Lois, an accountant, and she had 0 experience in tech. She was able to also join the business analysis training, and she secured a job as a project manager. Now, I'll explain that very soon. She was able to secure a job as a project manager in the UK after completing her training. There's so many stories like that. Look at Ngozi, Ngozi works from home remotely, right? Look at Bukola. There's so many of them. So once you get the slide, just take your time to go through all of these testimonials. Now, let's start explaining. So for some of the people on the call tonight that have not made up their minds yet, so they don't exactly know where they want to go. Do you want to go for Agile Project Management, or do you want to go for business analysis? All right, now I'm going to explain the both of them to you. Okay, so Olivia is asking for the link to the attendance form that will be dropped shortly in the meeting chat. All right, so just hold tight, Olivia. My colleagues will be dropping that shortly. So who is an Agile Project Manager? Who are we? Because I am also an Agile Project Manager. An Agile Project Manager is a servant leader. It's a person who helps just to make sure that the team is working effectively within the Agile framework. So we're like coaches, right? We're not the ones that are actually writing the code or doing the hard work, and all of that fun stuff, but we are in charge of the team that is, doing that. We're making sure that the team actually executes all of that. All right. Now, we're also trying to ensure that the project delivers value to the customer through continuous delivery, through adaptation, and also through improvement. So, there are different methodologies when it comes to project management, but let's look at the difference between the traditional project management, which is also called waterfall, and then the agile project management. All right. Now, for traditional project management, as the name implies, waterfall, right? And traditional signifies old. That's the old process, how people used to do things, right? Before the world became, just more tech savvy, right? So it's a sequential process, meaning that one process has to be done before we can commence with the other process. All right. So you have to think of baking a cake, right? You have to finish baking the cake first before you can go ahead to start, putting icing on the cake. And after putting the icing, you can go ahead to start putting, decorations and all. You cannot put decorations on the cake if you have not baked the cake. You cannot put decorations on the cake if you have not iced the cake or used your icing on the cake, and so on and so forth. Right? So that is exactly an example of the traditional project management. So you have to finish one stage before you get to the next stage. So if you want to build our healthcare analytics platform, for example, you have to, gather all the requirements, right? Even if it's going to take you 5 months to gather it, you have to gather all the requirements first. Then after gathering all the requirements, you have to design everything, what this dashboard will look like from beginning to end. After designing everything, you have to start implementing it. Developers start working on it, and they have to finish the implementation of the entire dashboard. And after that, the testers start testing. So again, like I said, one phase has to finish before the next phase can commence. Now, what happens with this particular framework is that it takes too much time. Right? It takes too much time. And that is why Agile is so much better. When I talk about Agile, I like to use a very common example. A lot of us on here, we use WhatsApp, right? Everybody on this call, I believe, use WhatsApp. And you're able to see, the different features. You just wake up one morning and you see that, oh, we can add music to our story, to our WhatsApp story. Oh, I can post a WhatsApp story. Oh, there are WhatsApp channels. Now that's an example of the Agile approach. What it just means is WhatsApp is adding new features incrementally, bit by bit. It could be every month, it could be every 2 months. Now, if WhatsApp was to follow the traditional project management approach, they would have had to wait. We have had WhatsApp for over a decade now, over 10 years. I'm trying to remember the first time I started using WhatsApp. It's been more than 15 years now, probably, right? We've had WhatsApp for over a decade. And, when WhatsApp started, it was just chats, right? You'll be able to chat with someone with your MB. So instead of sending text messages, with your credit or your airtime, you're able to chat with someone. And then from there, you can upload a profile picture. From there, it went into calling, just audio calls. From there, it added the video call feature and so on and so forth. Now, imagine if WhatsApp had tried to wait till they could build everything, right? That means by now, we'll still not have WhatsApp, because I promise you, they're still building things. In the next 2 months, you're going to see a new feature. So that's the beauty of Agile, right? You're able to break down everything. So you're able to say, you know what, in as much as we want to build 20 features, let's just build 4 first and put it out there in the markets. And while people are using it, every month we'll be adding 1 new feature every month. So what that helps with is, instead of you taking maybe 7 months that you would have taken to build what you wanted to build, your healthcare analytics platform, you can now take 1 month. You can build it in 1 month, because you have broken everything down into bite-sized chunks, right? And you're able to work on this and push it out there. And then the users are using it. And while they're using it, you're able to do more for them as well. All right. So I see a lot of questions in the chat. Not to worry. Just stick with me till the end of this session, and I'll be taking your questions in the chat. All right. Now, what are the key learning areas in the Agile Project Management program? We start off with introduction. Now, whether it's Agile Project Management you're going for, or you're going for business analysis, rest assured, we're going to take it from scratch. So all the tools, the way I showed you Jira, I just showed you Jira for about 30 minutes. You can sit down and have a 3-hour lecture on Jira, and I'm going to show you everything end to end, from the beginning, from how you can even install Jira, So how you can create an account on Jira, we take it from scratch and we hold your hand every step of the way. So you don't have to worry about not having any tech experience, any tech background. Just think of Esther and think of Judith. All right. So we start off with introduction to project management methodologies. I just talked about two methodologies, the waterfall and then the agile. But we have one more. We have the hybrid approach, which is a blend of the both of them. Now you're going to be understanding these two methodologies in depth. And then you also learn how you can identify these methodologies when you see them, how you can pick the best methodology. But when you think of methodology, think of approach. So how can you pick the best approach for a particular project that you're working on? What is the project management structure, right? The project life cycle. From your project initiation phase, your project planning phase, how do you plan projects like a project manager? The project execution phase, the monitoring and control phase, and your project closure phase. All right. So what are all of these fun stuff that you get to do, in all of these phases? Like, how do you carry out your feasibility study? Right? How do you build your business case, your project charter, your WBS, your Gantt charts? How do you plan your budget for the project? And so many things. You're going to learn all of these things from scratch. All right. Next, we'll be looking at the skills and communication, your project management skills. What are the skills that you need to have, as a project manager? What are the foundations of Agile? And then a deep dive. So we did Scrum tonight. We did about 5% of Scrum. Now you're going to learn the other 95% of it end to end, making sure that you understand Scrum end to end, the Scrum artifact. So your sprint backlog, your product backlog, your increments, what do these things mean? Right? What are the Scrum events? What are, your sprint planning, your daily stand-up? When you hear people saying, we're working in sprints, oh, wait, when the sprint finishes, we'll do this feature. What does that mean? You'll be learning all of these things. All right. And then you're learning your user stories. So again, we'll go in depth into the user stories, how you can craft user stories, how you can also craft your acceptance criteria in such a way that your developers would understand. So we'll do end-to-end of Scrum framework, and then we'll also do the Kanban framework as well, end to end. All right. So we'll also teach you how you can use Jira, Trello, and Confluence end to end when it comes to projects, when it comes to managing projects. Right? You understand the Kanban workflow. You understand agile metrics and reporting. So these are the metrics you use to check the health of your project, right? How are you able to know that, oh, my project is on track, right? This project is ahead of schedule, or this project is behind schedule. How do you know all of these things? How do you know if your team is being productive? How can you use Jira to track the productivity of your team? All right. So I told you, you just did like about 20 minutes of Jira. That's not enough, right? You can go in depth if you actually register for this training. Okay, so when you talk about these metrics, we're talking velocity, we're talking burn up chart, we're talking burn down chart, your lead time, your cycle time, and so on and so forth. And then we go into real world application. Now, all these things that I'm talking to you about, whether you're going for agile project management or you're going for business analysis, you actually be working on projects. All right. So everything I said, from your project management methodologies to the project management skills to the Scrum framework, just the way we had a project that we worked on, right? But now you have more time to work on a lot of projects, right? You're assigned to projects that you get to work on and present, and then use all of these projects to build your portfolio. Okay. And if you're also looking to take professional certifications after this training, maybe you want to go for your Prince 2, you want to go for your PMP, your PSM 1 and 2, your CSM, your CAPM, and so on and so forth. If you want all of these certifications, this program also helps you to prepare for these certifications. All right. Now, all our programs, whether it's Agile Project Management or it is business analysis, is 8 months. So you spend 6 months learning in class and then 2 months of internship. But that does not mean you have to wait 8 months before you can land a job. Again, remember the story of Esther. That sounded like something from the Bible. But remember the story of Esther and how she was able to get a job 4 months into the program. So Esther is actually still in my class. All right, she still attends classes. She's still learning, but she has already secured a job in the UK. So if she could do it, you can also do it, Olivia, as well. All right. Now, all our, all programs have a blended learning approach. We have Saturday live classes, and then we also have what we call self-paced learning. All right. So you have live classes such as this one. But now the difference is you're able to unmute your mic. I can ask Olivia a question, and Olivia can raise up her hand and tell me, Elizabeth, I don't understand that. Please, can you go over it again? Right? You're able to see me. I'm able to walk you through all of these projects. We're working on projects together. You're assigned to different teams. You and your teammates, you're working on projects. That's the difference, right? And we have these live classes 2 times in a month. So 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month, you have a live class. And then we have 2 different timings for the live classes as well. So we have the morning class and then the evening class, and you're able to pick the one that works best for your schedule. So if you say, oh, you know what, I'll be free in the morning, so I can go for the morning class, you are free to do that. So the morning class is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and the evening class is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. All right. And then we have the self-paced videos. Now, the live classes are always recorded, just like this session is recorded. Every single live session here at Analytics is always recorded. So if you miss it for any reason, you can always go back to it. Now, this also applies to business analysis as well. All live classes are recorded. Then you have a learning management system where you're added to, and you see pre-recorded videos of your facilitators, right, walking you through some of these projects. So you can watch them at your own time. While you're on the train, you're on your way to work, just plug in your earphones and you're watching these videos so you can actually learn on the go. We're trying to make it as flexible as possible because we also understand that people are working. Okay, so you have these self-paced videos, and then we have what we call drop-in sessions. Now, drop-in sessions happen twice every week, on Wednesdays and then on Saturdays. When you don't have live classes, you have drop-in sessions. Drop-in sessions are question sessions. If you have questions, oh, I'm working on this project, Elizabeth, I'm trying to do this on Jira and it's not working. You can bring that question to a drop-in session and share your screen with me while I provide guidance to you, right? So that is where the hand-holding comes in. Because it's one thing to learn, but sometimes as you're learning, as you're watching videos, you might not understand something, and that's okay. You can always come back to your facilitator and say, you know what, I'm struggling with this. And that person helps you out and just make sure that you understand it better. And that's what the drop-in sessions are for. And the drop-in sessions are also recorded. Now, if you don't want to wait for the drop-in session, you'll also be added to a closed WhatsApp group chat with your facilitator, where if you come across, you think of something and you say, I don't understand this thing. You just want to send a message, and you can send a message to your group chat and tag either myself or your facilitator, whoever your facilitator is. You just tag the facilitator to that message and that person responds to your question. So all of these measures were put in place to make sure that this program is flexible. So even if you're not able to join a live class, whether you join or you don't join, right, you always have 24/7 access to us, to answer your questions. All right. Now, there are so many different careers that you can start upon completing the program. You're not just boxed into project management. You can be a scrum master. You can be an agile coach. You can be a project coordinator. You can be a technical scrum master, a contract manager, just like Esther, and so on and so forth. Now, every single program will teach you how to build your portfolio. Your portfolio is just like your showroom, right? You have to build a portfolio to showcase all your skills. Now, let me show you Elizabeth's portfolio. Now, Elizabeth is also someone in my class. All right, this is our portfolio. Now, our portfolio serves as a showroom. All the projects that she got to work on in class with me, she's able to put it on a portfolio so that when she's applying to jobs, the recruiters are able to see all of the projects that she has worked on. So you see a bio, she says, I am Elizabeth Museri, and I am an Agile Project Manager and Certified Scrum Master. All right. And then she's able to house all the projects that she worked on. Look at all the projects that we worked on in class. Now, this is just to show you that we offer a project learning, a project-based learning here at Analytics. So you are not just, just working on, you're not just working on or reading the textbook, you're actually working on projects. And all these projects are linked here. So once you fill the attendance form and you get the slides, you'll also be able to access all the projects that Elizabeth worked on, all the projects she has in her portfolio. And bear in mind, she's still in the program. She's not even done. And you can imagine how many projects she has already worked on. All right. So now let's go straight into business analysis. Who is a business analyst? For the business analyst in the house, all right? A business analyst is a professional who analyzes an organization's business processes, their systems, and their stakeholders. to identify improvements and solutions to their challenges. To put it simply, as a business analyst, when you walk into an organization, your job is to look at their existing processes. How are things currently working in this organization? And how can I make it better for this organization? All right. So let's say you have an online business and you sell handmade bags. Now, customers have been complaining of, delayed orders. When they place an order, they get it in 7 business days. And even after waiting for 7 business days, by the time the bag comes, it is different. It's not what they ordered. So they're doing what I ordered versus what I bought on Instagram. All right. And then a business analyst, Olivia is a business analyst, and she comes into this small business. And she says, she looks at the current state and she sees that, okay, so for customers to place an order, they first have to call somebody. Once they call a staff, there's a customer rep that they call. And once they call that person, the staff takes the call and the staff is manually writing down their order. So, okay, ma'am, what bag do you want? What color? What size? The staff is manually writing it. And then the staff has a very big ledger, big book right in front of them. And they have to, once someone calls, Toby calls and says, I want to order a bag. And the staff has to quickly check the notebook to check if the bag is still available, right? And then when the staff says that, okay, it's available, the staff goes ahead to print the order details, goes to the store or the warehouse to confirm again that the item is still available, picks up the item, packs the item, right? Starts putting shipping labels and delivery address on the item, then calls the logistics company to come and pick up the item. Like now, the logistics company picks up the item and then goes to drop it off with the customer. Now, let's assume that this entire process takes 3 days. Olivia is a business analyst and she comes in and she says, no, this process is not working. I think I have an idea of how we can make this process better, right? How can we offer same-day delivery? So now Olivia says, you know what? How about we build a website so that if customers want to order our bags, instead of them calling us, they can just go on the website, right? They can go on www.tobysstore.com and order their bag online. Now, once they order their bag, we have an order management system that receives the order, right? So the order is taken. Think of the people that shop on Amazon, AliExpress. Think of, that experience. You don't have to call somebody, right? If you use Fashion Nova, Shein, and the rest of them, you just go online and you place your order. Now, there's so many things that happens behind the scenes, right? There's an order management system. There's an inventory management system so that, if it was put in there that this bag, there are 50 pieces of this bag, once Dorcas places an order for one of the bags, it immediately drops to 49. So, sometimes when you go online to shop, you see 12 items left, 5 pieces left, 2 pieces left, and so on. That's because there's an inventory management system on that site. So Olivia says, how about we build this website? We put an inventory management system and there's an order management system. So once somebody goes there and places an order, it automatically generates the order details and shipping labels and send it to your email, right? So once you wake up in the morning, you are asleep and people are ordering bags on your website. And then you wake up, you check your email and you just have to go ahead and pack these bags and send it to them. Now, this new process is going to take 5 hours. So you see how you've been able to reduce it from 3 days to 5 hours. Now, that's the job of a business analyst. You can apply this to your businesses. You can apply this in the healthcare sector, just like I showed you with the healthcare analytics platform. You can apply it in any sector of choice. All right. Now, what would you be learning as a business analyst? You learn process mapping. All right. Using tools like Lucidchart and Draw.io. How do you map out processes? How do you map out the current process and the to-be process? Then you also learn how to use data tools. Because what we have also realized, especially in the global space, is that recruiters don't just want someone to come and say, hi, my name is Princess, and I can optimize your processes for you. They want something more. All right. So they want you to also be able to understand surface level, the role of data and how data works. All right. So even if you're working in the healthcare sector, when you see data, when you see health, patients' records and all of that, you're able to make sense of it. So what we did is we went into the data analytics program and we borrowed these 3 data tools from them: Excel, Power BI, and SQL. So you're going to learn how to use them as a data analyst. All right. And again, we are going to be learning them from scratch. All right. You're going to learn every single tool here from scratch. And then we went into Agile project management as well. Okay. And we borrowed these 2 courses from them project initiation planning, and agile and scrum for projects. So we'll also teach you how you can plan projects as a project manager, how you can initiate projects as a project manager. But remember, it is borrowed. So you'll not learn it as in-depth as the people who take the agile project management training, but you learn just enough so you can land a job as a project manager. Now, Lois's testimony makes a lot of sense. She took the business analysis program and she landed his job as a project manager in the UK. So it is possible. And then you learn software development lifecycle, requirements fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis and engagement, and finally, how you can utilize ChatGPT as a business analyst. So it's 3-in-1. You're learning data, you're learning project management, and you're learning business analysis. So you're able to get a job in these 3 sectors: a project manager, a data analyst, or a business analyst. All right. Now we also have our live classes, our self-paced learning, and then these are some of the careers that are available to you as well. Process automation analyst, business process analyst, business system analyst, and so on and so forth. All right. This is also a portfolio of a business analyst linked here. Once you get the slide, you can go over them. Now, all of our programs come with internship, so that you can build and gain more experience, and also to help you make your CV and your portfolio stand out. Now, here at Analytics, we have something we call the job offer formula. Because you may be wondering, how are all of these people getting jobs? That's because we have a formula, we have a strategy that we follow with every single person. And it is simply T plus E. It is your technical skills and then your employability skills as well. All right. So, all of the things I just walked you through, project management methodology, Scrum, Jira, Lucid Charts, Draw.io, Excel, all of those are your technical skills. And it's only 50% of what you're going to be getting with us. Now, what is the other 50%? That is your employability skills. And that is where, us revamping your CV comes in. We teach you how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile. We have mentorship sessions with you. We prepare you for interviews, right? We offer you job recommendation letters. So when you land a job and they ask you to provide a reference, we can 100% provide a recommendation letter for you and say that you consulted with us here at Analytics or at our partner company in the UK, Amdari. So a lot of people that have been wondering, I need UK experience. I need UK experience. We actually partnered with a company in the UK, so that once you're done training with us, you actually intern and work with them so you can get that UK experience that you think you need to land a job. We also offer on-the-job support. So which is why Esther is still here today. So if Esther comes to me tomorrow and says, Elizabeth, I got this task at work, I don't really know how to go about it, I'll be there to also just provide how he can go in out task as well. All right. Weekly mentorship sessions, and finally Upwork optimization session. So we're also going to teach you how you can optimize your Upwork profile in case you're looking to land freelancing gigs as well. All right. Now, we also subscribe to a lot of premium job boards. All right. So we send out exclusive jobs every week. And this is where, people like Esther, Judith, Ngozi, and the rest of them, they were also able to apply to these jobs. So in as much as you're out there applying to jobs, we pay to get access to some exclusive jobs, and then we send them to you on a weekly basis so you can have access to these jobs as well. Now, there's so many more success stories. Once you get the slides, you can go over them by yourself. Now, if you're still confused on where to go, whether you want to go for business analysis or you want to go for project management, there is a link here. Once you get the slide, or you can actually do it right now, just take your phone and scan the QR code. And when you also get the slide, you can scan the QR code and take this quiz to understand the best career path for you. And if you'd still like to speak to a professional, you can do that as well. Just join our communities and request to speak to a professional. So if you want to have a one-on-one session with myself or other professionals here at Analytics to answer your questions, you can also do that as well. Now, we have a new cohort that is starting on the 6th of September, 2025. Now, if you're ready to take charge, if you're ready to, jump into the tech ecosystem, take charge of your destiny, right? It is time to, enroll for our programs. Now, all our programs, whether it's the business analysis program or the agile project management program, is priced at $1,000 US. All right. But the good news is, and I love to be the bearer of good news, the good news is we currently have a discount running, a 25% discount, even though it's about to end, right? It ends in roughly 2 days. All right. So instead of 1,000 US dollars, you get to pay 750 US dollars in, you have just 2 days. This discount ends on the 22nd of August. Today's the 20th. All right. So what you can do is right now, as you're listening to the sound of my voice, you can go ahead to register for either the business analysis program or the project management program. Now, even if you still have questions, like you have questions, you have questions that needs to be answered, but you want to make sure that you secure your spot using the discounted price before the discount is over. You can go ahead and just register and then still let us know that you'd like to speak to a professional. You still want to understand, oh, you know what, I registered for business analysis, but I'm not sure if I should go for business analysis or project management. And then you have a clarity session with a professional, maybe myself or any one of my other colleagues, that would now tell you the best career path for you based on your experience. But just remember, you have 2 days. All right. And once you get the slides, you also have the link here to just go ahead to register. So let me walk you through what registration also just looks like. All right. So once you click on that link, this is what you're going to see. All right. It takes you straight to where you can see the list of all the courses that we offer. So you want to identify the program that you want to go for, whether it is business analysis or you want to go for agile project management, either one of them. So once you identify the one you want to go for, let's pick project management. You want to click on buy now. All right. Now, once you click on buy now, you see all the details of the program. You can take your time to read through. You see how many projects you are going to be working on during the course of this program. You're going to work on 8 projects. So you're going to be able to build your portfolio with 8 projects, right? And then you can just go ahead to read the course description. Look at the course curriculum, right? And just keep scrolling down. You see your instructor, you see myself, and also Moses Joshua, another talented senior project manager here at Analytics. And then you're also able to see the job opportunities available to you as an agile project manager. Now, once you're done reading all of that fun stuff, you just want to go ahead and click on enroll now. All right, so once you click on enroll now, what it does is it opens up, it asks you to create a free account. Not to worry, it's going to take you less than 1 minute. We just need your full name, your email address, and your phone number. All right, so that we have your details. Now, once you create that account, you see this screen. It didn't ask me to create an account because I already have an account. But once you create your free account, you'll be able to see this screen. And then, the beautiful thing about this is you can actually select when you want to start. All right. So if you don't want to start in September, if you want to start in the next class that is starting by October, you're like, oh, you know what? I heard about this discount, right? I don't want this discount to pass me by, but I don't want to start right now. I'm very busy. I'd like to start in October. You can select when you would like to start. All right. Now you can go ahead, you select whether you want to start in September, and then you go ahead to see the full payment options. Now you are able to pay in any currency. I put this in Naira so that we understand, but you're able to pay in USD, you're able to pay in Canadian dollars, you're able to pay in euros, you're able to pay in pounds, you're able to pay in your local currency, not to worry. All right. Now remember, the discounted price is currently at 750 US dollars. Now, for people who want to pay once or twice, because again, you're able to split your payments for as many as 5 times. So if you're looking to pay once or twice, instead of paying 750 US dollars, you get to pay 700 US dollars instead. All right. We just gave you an extra discount because it's a lot of money. All right. But now if you understand the investment, you understand what you're going to be getting and the value you're going to be getting, and you want to pay once or you want to pay 2 times, right? You get to pay 700 US dollars instead. But if you're going to be paying 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times, you will be paying 750 US dollars. For the people in the UK, that should be about 615 pounds. But if you're paying once or twice, that would be about 575 pounds. So you see the difference. All right. But 615 pounds is still the discounted price. The original price for the program is 820 pounds. So if you're looking to utilize this discount, we have 2 days left. All right, so just go ahead to select the payment option that suits you. Maybe you want to split your payment as many as 5 times. You're saying, you know what, I only have £123 right now, but I want to start in September. So you can just go ahead and select the 5 installmental plan. And if you're in the UK, what that means is you'll be paying £123 and you're starting classes on the 6th of September. So while you're already working on project, while you're learning, you are paying £123 every month for 5 months. So you're getting the value for your money. Now, once you go ahead to click on pay now, after selecting your payment option, you click on pay now, confirm your details, and then you're good to go. You can put in your card details and make payment. Now, there are two bonuses that I have. The second good news is for people who register within 24 hours, all right, from the end of this session, for 24 hours. If you register within 24 hours, you also have access to this second bonus, right? You gain free access to Amdari, Amdari Vault for 1 month. Now, remember, Amdari is our partner company in the UK. So they have a vault with a lot of different types of projects that you can work on if you need to build your skills, whether it's in business analysis, it's in project management, right? And if you make your first installment in 24 hours, you get access to over 250 projects. You can imagine the amount of projects that you get to work on. So that when you're showing your recruiters your portfolio, they're able to see that, you actually have experience, because I don't believe in entry-level roles. All right. If you see the role of an entry-level project manager, when you open it, they ask you for 1 year of experience. Now, how do you build that experience? That is why we're here. So we'll help you to bridge that gap. But remember, if you pay within 24 hours, you'll be able to access this second bonus. You have access to over 250 guided projects that you can work on. Remember, the discount is for the first people. Just give it that ends on the 22nd of August. All right. So there's so many other success stories. There's so many other things that you can just, once you get the slides, just make sure to, fill the attendance form. Now, let me just take some questions, a few questions in the chats before we wrap up this session. So Richard said, between business analysis and a data analyst. All right. So Richard, you might want to come for a one-on-one session, but a business analyst is a process person. Now, a data analyst interprets data for organizations. All right. So, when I explained how a business analyst helps to optimize processes, a data analyst has no business with the process of the organization. The data analyst just wants to be able to see your data and help you to make sense of it. So, if you say, oh, we want to see the data of, want to understand what happened in 2024, the data analyst is able to analyze that data and interpret it to you in a language you understand. Now, that is the core difference. For a minute, but then if you're agile management, program, for example, if you're in right, and then you have already gone through the project management, you have passed that stage, you're even already in maybe Scrum framework, for example, and then you join the evening class and you see that maybe they are still doing the project management methodologies, then it just gets confusing for you. So what we made sure to do is just, you have to choose one. And once you choose one, you stick with that one till the end of the program. So if you choose the morning class, that means you are going to be joining the morning class till the end of the program. And if you choose the evening class, what that means is you're also going to be joining the evening class till the end of the program. All right. You can only choose one. So let me see more questions. Let's see. Olasumbo says, I'm in the BA cohorts. Fantastic. Do I need to take PM training if I want to work as an agile project manager? Not at all, Olasumbo. You don't have to, because I'm sure you also still get to the aspect where you start to treat, the project initiation planning, agile and scrum for projects as well. So you don't have to take a PM training. Do I also need to take the Scrum certification before working as a PM? 100% not. Now, your skills would always speak for you better than any certification. All right. If you are active on LinkedIn, the people that are active on LinkedIn here, you agree with me that you can actually buy these certifications. You can pay somebody to write a certification for you. So what you want to have as proof that you know your onion is your portfolio. And how do you get your portfolio? By taking the training and actually working on projects. So James says, can a person who qualifies as an agile project manager take up the role of a business analyst and vice versa? If so, do they use the same software tools for their jobs? Now, a business analyst can take up the role of a project manager, all right? Because you have elements of project management in the business analyst. You cannot just take up the role of a business analyst, except he or she upskills. All right, now upskilling does not necessarily mean going to take another course. You can just learn on YouTube, all right, because you already have the foundation. Again, there are overlaps, all right? You use Jira, you use Confluence, you use Trello, whether you're a business analyst or a project manager. Now, you might also need to learn about requirements, elicitation, and the fundamentals as well. So Kimo says, can project management be likened to product management? Again, they are just overlaps, okay? They are similar, but they are different, all right? So I'm not able to take all of the questions because I don't want to keep us here for too long, but just make sure to register, all right? Enroll for the program. And if you have more questions for me, make sure to register, secure your spot using the discounted slot, and just let us know that you would like to speak to a professional, and we can have a one-on-one session where I take all your questions. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. All right. So I will see you when I see you. Hopefully, I see you in class on the 6th of September. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the rest of your day.